Great. Welcome, everyone, to the Bold Strokes Books Bookathon, where we are talking everything writerly for 2.5 days. We have a jam-packed schedule for you. So if you enjoy what you're seeing right now, even if you just tuned in, you don't even know what you're seeing right now, please take a look at the other panels and readings that are going on all weekend. We're here for you. So if you've just joined us on Zoom and you're wondering, where is everybody? That means that your view is on speaker view. So go change it to gallery, and then you'll see all of our lovely faces. If you want to chat with other viewers, I'm happy to tell you that we do have a live chat. Feel free to put hi in the comments or like make conversation among yourselves, or you can try to make conversations with us. But it does go quite fast sometimes. So if you have a question, I would appreciate if you ask it in the Q&A box, which is located, I think, at the top. And hopefully, like we'll have time for some questions at the end. I'll try to keep an eye on it. So this panel is called Red Flags, and the topic is questionable character behavior. Before we get started, let's find out about our authors, and whether they're questionable or not, I will let you decide by the end of the panel. So we are joined by Barbara Ann Wright, who has won 3 Goldies, a Lesbic Bard Award, and 5 Rainbow Awards. Her work has made Reviewer's Choice and recommended reading lists on Tour.com, Book Riot, and Sci-Fi.com. Wold Night Rising is her latest work. You can find her online at barbaraannwright.wordpress.com. Catherine Lane writes feel-good romances with a twist of the unexpected. She loves haunted history, ghost walks, and finding the hidden corners of the world around her. A Southern California native, she's published 4 contemporary romances and 1 fantasy novella. Echoes of Love, her latest novel, is currently a finalist for the Romantic Blend category at the Golden Crown Literary Society. Chelsey Lynford has learned to read around age 3 and never looked back. Her writing journey began in the 1st grade, very early, very precocious, and has ranged from fan fiction all the way to sports journalism. Chelsey lives in Texas with her 2 cats, where she dreams of a future with real seasons. She has a bachelor's degree in history and an MBA. In her free time, she enjoys watching sports, traveling, photography, and the occasional video game. Claire Donniere is the author of sapphic fiction, killer romances, and riveting mysteries. She's an insurance agent by day, insurance agent by day, and a mystery romance author by night. It'd be interesting if those were switched around. Dealing with frustrated and condescending clients gives Claire plenty of ideas for how to kill people on paper. Consequently, she enjoys plotting romances with a random dead body thrown in for good measure. She draws inspiration from everyday life. I hope not too much from everyday life with the dead bodies thrown around. And uses her imagination to send her characters on unforgettable journeys. Shot Through the Heart is her debut novel. You can find her online at clairedonniere.com. And last but not least, we have award-winning author Georgia Beers with us. She has written more than 40 novels of sapphic romance. Residing in upstate New York with her animals, she loves a good scary movie, has 4 small humans who live 2 doors down and call her Gigi, and thinks her dog Archie might be the love of her life. She strongly believes in the perfect glass of wine, the unconditional love of a dog, and the joy of realizing the book you're reading has an epilogue. That's good news for everybody. I love a good epilogue. Vindication. Fall is her very favorite season. She's always working on her next book. You can visit her and find out more at georgiabeers.com or search for her on Patreon. So that is everybody here. Welcome. Hope you're enjoying it so far. We've just got through the introductions, but now we're going to delve right into character behaviors, which is a juicy topic. Super excited to learn more about this. So I was wondering, just to start us off, does anyone want to give any examples of red flags, things that you've noticed in your life, examples that people have told you about recently, anything that might be a red flag that's come up? Georgia, do you have anything that you want to share?
Well, I mean, the most obvious one, given the world that we're living in right now, is if you're MAGA or MAGA or however you say it, or you don't want to, you don't talk about politics. That didn't used to be a red flag, and I feel like it is now because it says something about that person that maybe ain't so good.
Interesting.
That's a red flag for me. That's a red flag for me.
Totally understandable.
Yep.
Barbara, do you have any examples of that you want to share? Red flags.
So many. Um, we were talking about dating earlier, and so many red flags have popped up in my life and around it now, or in books. Ordering for the other person, whether you're at dinner or you're at a coffee shop or whatever.
Oh yeah, that people do
Um, they still do that. Anytime anybody starts anything with and for the lady,
that.
then it's like, nah, nah, I'm just gonna
Oh.
stand up and walk out. Yeah, that might be a red flag too, but I'm using it, I'm waving it.
Catherine, how about you? Do you have any red flag examples that you want to share?
I think a lot of red flags deal with imbalance when, one person has power over another and sort of, celebrates that in a way that is not uh, healthy. So, I'm a teacher in my day job, and I see that a lot in walking down the halls, and it's hard. It's hard to sort of navigate through it.
Yeah, good point. Chelsey, what about you?
Most of my exes probably, but for more specific examples on that topic is like someone who says all their exes are crazy. Like,
Hmm.
well, then sometimes I have to wonder what the
Yep.
common denominator is there.
The
Yeah,
denominator. Yep, it's you.
Yes.
And Claire, what about you?
Oh, there's plenty. I would just say a lot of the main one is for me would be dishonesty and also like a negativity around the person. So if I feel like drained by the end of the day dealing with them, it's like that's it, I'm done. And I do have like few colleagues at my work, very arrogant, kind of cocky, especially the salespeople, and I just like feel like they don't have that like empathy to people. They just want to like money, 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 money. They don't care if they hurt somebody. But negativity for me, it's mostly like complaining constantly about things and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking this is going to sound like a rather negative panel in some ways. We're talking about a lot of negative character traits. Like some of these are truly awful, and I apologize that any of you are dealing with some of these people that are categorized in that category. Um, so to kind of start us off, I'm assuming that as writers, you've probably written a character or two in your time that has a red flag in their past or in their present. So I was wondering if you want to tell us a little bit about that, like either in your writing journey or if you haven't written one that you think, like maybe something that you would be willing to explore, like in an upcoming book. Catherine, do you want to start us off?
Um, Sure. I have to admit that I was also somebody who had to go look up red flags and see what the red flags were. I think that when I was, Googling it and doing all that stuff, I really realized that red flags in some books, or certainly the books that I write, are character flaws that, if they're done correctly, they can allow the character to grow and change. And by the end of it, in a really good red flag for a character, which is different than a person, because often you can just say goodbye. But for a character, you really sort of want to understand how that red flag, when the character sort of understands it in a way, that they can grow from it. And maybe the red flag has some positive elements to it that when they celebrate that and they embrace it, they can sort of be redeemed. And I know that, so that for me, I'm not sure I answered your question, but that's sort of where I'm coming from. So I'm not sure that red flags really, like, I think all of my characters have red flags, but I'm trying to turn them into sort of, paths that they can grow forward.
I think that's an excellent point. Like when we're talking about red flags, like there are people that have questionable behaviors that they're not bad people and they're
Right.
not, in bad situations. It's there, and in a way, I think you are right. Like a lot of these things can be character flaws that, yeah, can be used for growth. I think that's a really interesting way of looking at it. Barbara, what about you? Have you had any red flags in your characters, or are you planning anything for anything upcoming?
I definitely have some. One of the things I like to write is as the characters are getting to know each other, them noticing those red flags and being like, oh, that's either going to be a problem, that we're going to have to deal with, or if I have a character in Wild Night Rising, Gwen, who in the beginning is trying to manipulate the other lead. And whenever she sees a red flag, she thinks, "Oh, how can I use that?" Or, that, or we're gonna have to deal with it. And then that's a red flag in itself. But then Holly, my other character, she sees herself as having uncompromising principles. She never compromises her principles, but she confuses that at times with compromising at all. And I think that's a big red flag she has to face. I think it's important to include them like that. I think that's one of the things that's a flaw that makes them relatable. So I like not only having that in there, but then having the character realize it or having another character see it and think about it in that way. I think that's very important, a journey for a character to go through.
Absolutely. And some of these things are red flags in a situational context. Like it's between these two specific people that there might be some things going off that, like in other aspects of their life, like it's not negative at all. It's a good point. Um, Claire, what about you? Like, have you written any or are you planning on putting any in your books?
Well, I only have the one book out, and of course my characters are perfect. No, they're not. But I was thinking about more like what Catherine said, that for the main characters, usually red flags would be like flaws that they have to overcome somehow to grow. And I was thinking about my character. So I have The Shot Through the Heart. It's about the Secret Service agent named Allie Gordon who goes undercover to investigate the chief of staff of the senator because of assassination threats. And she is one of the prime suspects. And so Nicole, who's the chief of staff, her flaw, I think, or maybe like a red flag, she's self-destructive because she was hurt badly. She has like this major betrayal. And so because of that, she does not open up to anybody. She does one night stands, no second dates, no strings. It's kind of like, was she comfortable? So she basically protects herself, not to be hurt again. And then Allie comes into her life, who is dishonest in a sense because this is her job. She pretends to be someone else, but in reality, she only pretends of, like her profession, not necessarily who she was as a person. But to Nicole, obviously, it would be a red flag because Allie is lying to her. Though, she understands logically that it's her job. She was supposed to do that. But this is all I could think about my characters, that they have those flaws, but that's what makes them um, grow and overcome them and find their happy ending.
Over all the dead bodies.
Yes, exactly. There is couple, I think. I don't know.
Chelsey, how about you? What about red flags in your books?
Yeah, so I think I'm probably the only one on this panel who immediately understood why I was put on this panel. Because the main character in my most recent book, The Rise and Fall of Connor Cody, is kind of a walking red flag to begin with. And much like Claire said, she's very self-destructive in the sense that she thinks that will protect her from getting hurt. And for example, she's definitely a player, and she justifies it saying, "Well, I told you not to get attached to me. I told you, this wouldn't work." And she thinks that it's fine to treat people like crap because she told you beforehand she would. She's got a lot of red flags to deal with.
Definitely. I've read that book and yes, but the overcoming is amazing.
Thank you.
And Georgia, with over 40 books to your name, I'm
Yeah.
certain that some of these characters are not patron saints.
Well, I think if you're going to use the enemies to lovers trope, you're going to have some red flags, and they may not be red flags to the reader, but they're going to be red flags to the love interest or to the main character, one or the other. I have my book that just came out, The Girl Next Door, is I have Jenna, who owns a romance only bookshop, and the woman who moves in next door is Sawyer, who is a technical writer by day and a book blogger by night, and she hates the romance genre. She thinks that it peddles unrealistic dreams to sad and lonely people. And so to Jenna, that is a red flag. Maybe not a red flag to everybody, but to Jenna, who owns a romance bookstore, it is. And I think that works in that particular storyline. I think with an enemies to lovers trope, somebody's got a red flag. They may not be a walking red flag like Chelsey's character is, but they're going to have some red flags. And having a red flag doesn't mean you can't overcome it. Or you can't find some common ground, or any of the, you're going to make it work. This is a romance. But yeah, I did a book signing earlier today, and I had, I think, 5 or 6 of my books on the table, and I had a reader come up and ask me like what trope each of them was, and of the 6, like 5 of them were enemies to lovers, and I was like, oh, okay, so apparently I like writing that trope. I don't actually. I don't like writing bad people. I don't like writing red flags. I struggle with that, but I don't know. I end up doing it all the time. So I think that particular trope, very conducive to red flag people.
That's a great point. Like some tropes and some plots like really lend themselves well to certain character types. It's a good point. So I think this kind of leads nicely into the next question, which is how far is too far for a main character? Like when you're developing your lead characters, what's a red flag that you would never give a character, or is anything at all fair game? Barbara, would you like to start us off?
Um, though I have written characters who use their physical presence to intimidate people before. I'm thinking of Cordelia from Paladins of the Stormlord. They would never use that with the love interest. So I feel like using any kind of physical intimidation, threats of actual violence, toward the person, no matter how angry they are, I think that well, most especially sexual violence, but really any kind of violence, because it's very important to me that the characters feel safe like that with each other. I mean, emotional betrayal is one thing; it can be devastating, but physical safety, I think, is something that they would never use with one another.
That's the line in the sand. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Chelsey, like, what are your opinions? Is there a red flag that you would never give anybody, or a main character rather?
Yeah, for sure. Anything regarding lack of consent.
Mm,
I mean, I don't think you can come back from that. I don't think at least I don't think I could write someone back from that. So anything that breaches that line of consent, I would never do that. Not for a character that's not a villain.
right. Yeah, yeah. Georgia, what about you and your main characters? Anything you
Um,
didn't give them?
well, and I think Chelsey used the phrase that I would use is it can't be something that they can't come back from.
Yeah.
And for me, this isn't even something they can't come back from, but this is something that I don't trust anybody who doesn't like animals, especially dogs. If you're allergic, that's one thing, but if you just don't like them, I question that. So I don't think I would ever write one of my love interests as that and expect to make that into a happily ever after. That just doesn't work for me. I realize that that's just a me thing, but I think that's something I could never, they don't have to have an animal, but they can't be open about, oh no, I don't like dogs, or I don't like cats, or what's wrong with you? Why not?
That's interesting because it's 100% of your books end in happy endings, and they are dog lovers. You can be
Correct.
assured of that.
Correct.
A few guarantees of a Georgia Beers novel.
And like I said, you don't have to have one. It's okay. I've written characters that don't have a pet. You're busy, whatever. I get that. But there's a difference between not having one and not liking them.
Good
I
point.
don't
Good
trust
point.
you.
Catherine, what about you?
Well, I didn't realize that the whole dog lover thing was my issue as well. I mean, I'm a
See?
huge dog lover personally, and honestly, I don't see how you can get beyond it when someone says, I had a friend who is no longer a friend, but kept calling the dog it. And I'm like, no, there's no dog
No.
that is ever it,
No,
right?
no.
So, but I do feel like the stories that I personally write have to live within my own like sort of ethical boundaries. And even creating a villain who goes too far for me is not great because I feel like you're excusing or you're allowing that sort of, red flag to continue on in a way that is not healthy for both, the romance and for the world around us. So yeah, I mean, I think that in the end, it's really about that even if you have a red flag, the character has to understand and move beyond it or move within it or sort of, come to some sort of realization about it that by the end of the book allows, her to be a better character and a better partner to the person that she is going to be end up happily ever after with. But yeah, the dogs. Yeah, Echoes of Love. My
Right?
current dog has Edgar, my favorite character, who's based after my own dog.
I see people on threads a lot that are like, so if you met the love of your life and they told you you had to get rid of your pet, what would you do? And I'm like, how is that even a question?
They have to
I
go.
would say
They're not the
stay.
love of my
The
life.
love of my life is my pet.
Correct. Thank you, Chelsey.
Correct
I tell Archie
answer.
that all the time.
My current wife and I, my only wife and I, had the conversation in the beginning that she was allergic to dogs, and I said, "Well, I have to have a dog." So we spent, the first 5 years of our relationship finding that hypoallergenic dog,
Yep.
and and we're together 30 years later, so
That's
it's
the way
great.
you do it.
Yep, that's the way you do it.
you heard it here. Animals unite people, at least to long-lasting marriages, happy
Exactly.
all good. Claire, Shot to the Heart is your debut novel. So if you're thinking about future books, is there a hard line that you also like wouldn't cross, like a red flag you would never give a main character?
Right. So I was thinking about it because to me, it's basically for however flawed your main character is, as long as they don't cross this line of like cruelty and evilness, that they cannot be redeemed. And then the main thing for me was the same thing. I was gonna agree. If it's a lot of like physical abuse, animal cruelty, especially, like I would never write somebody who, I mean, I will kill people all day long, but I will never kill a dog or a cat. No. And then also cheating. I don't know, like the main character, I mean, they can like sleep around and whatnot, but they cannot cheat on if they would somebody for me, if it's like one of those things I would not cross. Because I was thinking, if you want your readers to be invested in your characters, they have to care about them. And if they stop respecting them for certain things that they do, they're not going to care. And then you're just going to lose a lot of readers. And I do have a rom-com that's coming out in August. There's kittens everywhere. I think it's gonna be. I even have a cat in my first mystery because I want to have kittens. And then I do have another mystery in development too. So it probably gonna be a lot of red flags in that one as well because I'm working on a certain um, like characteristics of people. Like my first one is revenge, and my second mystery would be greed because I want to explore those things. But yeah. But those cruelty, physical abuse, and cheating, that's ones I'm not gonna write.
It's so funny that you said that about, they can kill people, but not animals. And so I like horror movies. I'm a horror movie fan. And I will watch people get killed all day long. But if there's a dog in the horror movie, I'm like, oh, wait, I got to get my phone. I got to look up doesthedogdie.com.
Yes,
Same.
same
I'm
thing.
out.
Same.
I'm out. I can't. And there was a horror movie called Good Boy recently.
Yeah.
That is a horror movie that is from the point of view of the dog. And I know that the dog lives at the end, but I can't watch it because he's like scared the whole time. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Aw.
I like animals better than people.
Fair enough.
Sorry, little tangent, but yeah.
I cried after the first line of the When the Red Ferns Grows.
Oh, when the
Oh,
wind
yeah,
was
that
up.
book.
I read the first
No,
line and I started.
oh,
Oh, wait,
no.
no, that's it. That's was
Traumatizing.
No, too many childhood books where they're like, and there's a family
yearling.
pet. This is not going to end well.
No.
There was what was the other Old Yeller, all of
Old
those.
Yeller, The
No,
Fox
what
and
were
the
they doing to
Hound.
us? Oh my
Poor
God.
American children. Oh, come on.
The never-ending story with the horse and the tar
Oh,
pit.
no,
No,
we don't
come
talk
on.
about it. We
No.
don't talk about it.
Let's talk about villains and how to kill them. That's
I can't believe we're
my-
not. No wonder my mental health is in the toilet.
I love how this has become kind of a bonding session about how other authors have traumatized us with red flag behaviors.
Well, I think with the exception of Chelsey, I think most of us are Gen X. Are we all Gen X? I'm Gen X. Barbara, you are.
Yep.
Yeah. So
I'm
yeah,
a millennial.
that was like they rolled the TV into our classroom and we watched the Challenger blow up and then
Yes.
they rolled it out and we went back to class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Red flags everywhere in the Gen X experience.
And they
Uh,
wonder why we don't care about anything.
No, but we know how to get a blood stain out of any fabric, so
Absolutely.
that's what we've got. That's our gift.
and we share it with the world proudly.
Yes.
If you murder as many people as Claire does, you need to know these things.
Oh, with every book, the body's gonna grow. The count will be.
I
I started
agree.
with one. I already have two in my second one. So yeah,
I
that's
support it.
On to the next question. But I love the commentary.
Back on topic.
This is great. We could just talk about this all day. The movies that we've experienced here. So when you are writing, how do you develop character? Like, do you figure the plot out first? Or do you figure out characters first? Like when you're determining flaws and good things, bad things, where do you start with your character development? Catherine, how about you? Like, where do you start with in your books?
I always start with the character. So I'll go on walks with my dog and I'll think about, just an interesting character and an interesting character arc. Because while I really like sort of paranormal plots, and certainly you have all that sort of, exciting moments in it, I think unless your character is experienced, that a reader will come into usually a book, at least hopefully mine, through the character. And if that character it doesn't have a really unique character arc, or if it isn't thematic enough, then I feel like they'll just step out. So I always start with the character wound. What is how is she wounded? How does she need to grow? How does she need to do this? How perhaps her wounds are causing her to do, unhealthy things around her, and how does she find her own redemption? And I think that for me, that is sort of what it carries me through a story.
And Barbara, how about you? Are you character driven or plot driven first?
Very much characters. I hardly write down any notes about my plot when I get going. I don't do outlines. But I write pages and pages of character notes. What makes them tick? What do they want? Why can't they have it? Why don't they have it? What were they willing to do to get it? All these things, just so that I know in any situation I throw them into, I know how they're going to respond to that situation. And that really helps me going forward, especially because I don't write my plot down. So I'm all over the place until I get there. Knowing how they'll react, will be like, ooh, this is exactly what they would do next. And then that fuels whatever part of the plot. Which would probably explain why most of my novels are actiony and people running around responding to various terrible things that are happening around them.
That's 2 for 2 so far for characters first. Chelsey, like, do you start with the characters or do you start with the plots?
Always the characters. And I think I suspect that most people who are like me are pretty much firmly in that romance without going into horror, mystery, or some of the other genres are more character driven. But yeah, I want to know what the characters' internal, like personal journey, like how are they going to grow, and then the plot comes around that.
Seems to be a common theme for these people. Claire, what about you? Characters or plot or something
Well,
else?
well, I myself is like a plotzer. That's what they call them. I plot, I have outline, I have a story, but I also do a lot of pantsing in between. So I think I'm in the middle, kind of. I start with an idea and a character who would be fitting that idea. I usually get something from like news, or I'm reading paper or something, and I'm like, ooh, what if I do that? And then I have this character already in mind, and of course, then I get them developed, and I want to see what their flaws would be that they need to work on to kind of grow out of it. But then, of course, like usually I have a beginning and ending of my story, but everything else kind of in between because I know how it ends. Happy ending always, even if it's not a romance. I know how it starts, kind of, but then when I start writing, I kind of see how my characters behave in certain circumstances, and it can change from there because I can write a whole scene and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I'm gonna totally move on to another route until I get to the end. The end is always the same though, so I'm in between.
That's interesting. I also do plot first, pretty much. I know kind of how it starts, and then my characters develop around my plot. And I have changed entire endings. Like I have pitched books where the ending is one thing, like when I've written it down and I've given it to Bold Strokes and I've been like, this is my book. And then I'm writing it, and as I'm writing 3/4 of the way through, I'm like, oh
Guys.
no, No, like these characters would not do this. Like I remember scrapping a whole long plot point in my second book, Her Countess to Cherish, because I was going to have the characters duel at the end. I was writing a non-binary character who was going to challenge like this guy to a duel, and then I thought, no, this character has also started like a ladies' blue stocking salon. Like this character is a pacifist. They would never challenge anyone to a duel. I had to do a lot of rewriting. But it was worth it. And Georgia, how about you? Are you plot or are you character or other?
Well, I would say that in general, I start with the character because I have to start with the conflict because that's the hardest part for me. And then as soon as I come up with a conflict, it usually, not always, but usually has to do with the occupations of the characters. So then once I get their occupations, then I start working on them. Now, Claire, you and I are what's called plantsters, which I think Chelsey put in the box. We're a little of both. I can't just pants the whole thing. It stresses me out. My anxiety goes through the roof. But I plot a little bit and then I start to get antsy because I just want to write. But like you, I always know the ending. I always know the beginning, and I usually know the climax or the dark moment or whatever it's going to be. And then I kind of fill in as I go. But I think if I was going to add everything all up, I think it would be character first. Sometimes it's a moment or a scene. Like sometimes something will stick in my head and then I will write a book around that. Like this is this awesome scene. And then what's been happening to me lately is songs. I've been listening to a lot of Olivia Dean lately, and she has a song called Baby Steps. And I thought to myself, that is a great title for a book that has to do with a nanny or a child. So now I'm writing that. So like little bit, the more I do this, the more I find creativity in strange places. But to answer your question, for the most part, it's characters, but it's all over the place now.
It's very inspiring to hear
Yeah.
that there's still kind of like limitless ideas and
Yeah.
like limitless opportunities to be creative. Like no matter how much you've done something, if you've written 40 books like Georgia, or if you've written one or two, or if you're in another field entirely, like the more you do something, the more ideas I find do tend to come. Like the easier
Yep.
they tend to come. Like I used to really struggle with that in the beginning of my career. Now I'm 8 books in and I feel like, oh my God, I could write 20 more books. Like
Yeah.
which one do I go with first?
Yep. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing.
Creativity begets more creativity, thank God.
Exactly.
Okay, so in your novels or potentially future novels, how do your other characters handle red flags? Do you have people with multiple red flags, like multiple characters with red flags in the books? Or do you match people who are real opposites? And like there are some people that like would never do some of the things that some of your characters might do. How do your other characters react when they're faced with these character flaws? Chelsey, do you want to go first?
Oh, I guess so. Um, I think it depends. So like in this novel in Connor Cody, it was very much an opposites, and I think was because she needed her love interest to be someone who would just prop her up and who's like, I think you're great. Because she deep inside, like her self-esteem is absolutely in the toilet. In my first novel, Crossing Bridges, I mean, they had differences. I don't want my main characters to be exactly the same, but it was more, I'm going to support you, but I may also call you out a little bit because I think it's important to have people in our lives that will call us out, and whether that's love interest or maybe just, that plucky best friend. Um, there has to be somebody that, there's got to be a reason that these characters overcome their red flags, right? Like something has to prompt growth. So it's either they're getting called out on it, or like in Connor's case, it's someone who says, you know what, I think you're actually better than this. I believe that you're better than this. And she's like, okay, maybe I actually am. Maybe I can be.
Okay, so they're not both hot messes.
Not yet. I mean, that would be maybe in the future, but not yet.
Barbara, how about you? Like how do other characters react like when they're put up against these red flag characters?
I think I have a tendency to make some of the red flags extremely hot to the other character. Which probably isn't good, but I don't know because it's like if I have the Holly in Wild Night Rising is very quick to anger. She has a short fuse temper, and the other character finds that kind of arousing. And it's like, yeah, and they both, but they both even each other out in other ways, so it's like she may find her temper arousing, but or Gwen, the other character, may find her temper arousing, but she herself thinks things through. She's very strategic, so I think they balance each other out in a nice way. So it's not like, two wrongs are making a right or something. It's just that they find these red flags intriguing.
Good point. Yes. I think making one of them find the other one hot
There you
because
go.
red flag
Yeah.
is a great tactic.
Yeah, well, as long as it's not too much. She's not like, ooh, the way she wields that knife when she kills people.
That's her own red flag, right?
Yeah,
It's just a
yeah.
whole nother thing.
Or even actually as worse is like, oh, she's killing people. I can fix her. That one I was like, I don't really like either.
Now we're talking about bodies. Like, let's go back to Claire. You've got all the bodies in yours as well. How do other characters react to like red flag characters?
Well, like I said, I don't really think like so my characters have red flags. It's more like flaws what they have. But I mean, again, to bring up the story where Nicole finds out that Allie lies to her, she pretends to be a photographer to get closer to her, and in reality, she's a Secret Service investigating her and thinking she's a suspect. So she early on in the book when they first met, she tells her, "I hate cheating and lying. I would never be with anybody who does that." And to Allie, it's like, oh, I'm right there sitting there lying to her. But in reality, she only lies who, like what she does in a sense, but not who she is. I mean, she even says somewhere, like I have in a chapter where she's like, lie as little as possible because it's easier to, say the truth versus come up with more and more lies. And so when Nicole realizes that it was a job that Ali was doing, but in reality she's still the same person because she was thinking, well, if she lied to me about what she does, what else she lied to me? Does she really like writing, and does she really like hiking, or did she studied me and find out that I like poetry and then got to me that way? And then turns out to be that Ali does really like those things. So she never lied about who she was as a person. So that kind of makes it a little bit easier for Nicole to overcome that in the end.
Communication is always key. Georgia, how about you? How do your other characters react to kind of the main character like red flags?
I think in many instances they hold up a mirror to say, hey, here's this thing you do that might be like in The Girl Next Door. I talked about the one that hates the romance genre, and I'm not unrealistic about it. She doesn't suddenly love romance by the end of the book, but she takes a step back and because Jenna says, hey, here's all the awesome things about romance and stop shitting all over it. And it makes Sawyer go, okay, well, maybe I need to reevaluate my stance. So I think in many situations, other characters hold up a mirror and the person with the red flags goes, oh, let me rethink that. I kind of think that's a less violent way of dealing with a red flag, because it's a romance.
Your books tend to have a very low body count, yes.
Correct. Correct.
Not
There's
so
no
many
body
dead bodies, more dogs. And Catherine, how about you? Like how do your characters react to kind of red flag characters?
I sort of go the Georgia path a little bit as well. In my current book, both of my main characters, their red flags is that they're stuck in the past, they're a little bit emotionally unavailable, that they need to break out. But I also have another character, Cherry, who is a very minor character, but she only exists in the present. She has no thoughts about, no responsibility, no understanding of the present, the future, no understanding of the past. And so she's being held up as a mirror or I guess a cautionary tale that if my main characters break out of their red flags too much, or they don't embrace what's good about their red flags, this is the way they're going to end up. I think, I mean, hopefully Cherry is a, humorous character and people will laugh at the way that she moves forward. But having said that, I do feel like she is absolutely a mirror or a reflection or a cautionary tale for the main characters, that you have to figure out your own way to deal with your red flags as opposed to just like jump on the other side.
Good life lessons to learn here.
Well, if we only could, right? That's why you
Right.
write them, because you can't learn them in your own life.
Exactly.
That's true. So about like the writing journey, like what is your favorite part to actually write? Do you prefer to write bad behaviors, conflict, the mess of the situation, or do you prefer kind of like the payoff at the end, like the redemption of the character or the happy ever after part, like after they've gone through all the conflict? Like what do you prefer to write? Like what's your favorite part of the process? Claire, like how about we start with you?
Oh, again, only one book. Um, but I was thinking about it. It's kind of, I haven't had a redemption thing yet. I think it takes a lot of talent to redeem a character, especially if it's somebody that everybody hates, like not my character that comes to mind, Michelle Hastings, Lee Winters, because when I read about that character, I'm like, oh, I hate her. But then Lee wrote two more books about her and redeemed her in such a wonderful way where, I fell in love with her almost. Um, I think it's interesting to write bad behaviors, kind of like to find out why some characters behave that way, because sometimes it's a front. And because I write in third past, I think. So internal thoughts, it's always what helps me to kind of show or tell or whatever. I'm still learning the difference, but to kind of show what in reality the characters, who they are, because you can present yourself as someone else, but then in your internal thoughts, you would think something else, and the reader know, but the other character doesn't, and so they can only see them as like, let's say, maybe arrogant or they psychopaths or something like that. But then in reality, they are not. And it's kind of interesting to write those bad behaviors and then kind of show um, how they overcome that and how I can redeem them maybe a little bit. But my main characters are not. Like it's mostly about my secondary. I have a villain, I have a fake villain. So those ones are kind of interesting to write because they are full of red flags.
A villain and a fake villain.
And a
I
fake
love it.
villain.
Uh, Georgia, how about you? What's your favorite part to write, and has it changed book to book or throughout your career?
Um, has it changed? That's a good question. I'm not sure. I like to write the banter. The banter, the dialogue, the humorous, like flirting back and forth. I can tell that that's my favorite because when I have to choose a reading, I usually pick something where the characters are going back and forth with each other and it's a little bit funny and maybe a little bit sexy. I think I got a couple of emails from readers long, long ago who told me that they loved my dialogue, and I kind of like glommed onto that and didn't let go. So dialogue is my favorite. Um, I do like a good redemption scene. I like a grand gesture. In romance, I think the grand gesture is probably my favorite of all. Like, what is she gonna do to win this person back, or to win her to begin with, or to overcome her own red flags? How is she gonna do that? The grand gesture is, the for those of us who are Gen X, the John Cusack with the boombox and say anything, that kind of grand gesture. I love that so much. And when you come up with a good one as a writer, there is nothing better.
I love that you mentioned that because I was actually going to include a question on this panel about how things have changed over time, like how certain things that were not considered red flags in the past, the current generations do consider to be red
Yeah.
flags because it actually, like culturally and societally, like that barometer has totally changed,
Yes.
which is really, really interesting. Like for those of
Yep.
us who have spent several generations watching media, reading books to see the shift in time. Um,
I would say, and vice versa too, right? The idea that things that I'm still thinking are red flags, a lot of people in the, A lot of people, a lot of current younger readers don't think of red flags anymore. And when I make a big deal about it, it's like, what, why would you even write about that, right? So, yeah, I think it's vice versa as well.
Definitely, I definitely find that there's different expectations
Right.
and different preferences, like for sure, in terms of generations.
It makes
Could
me
be a
think
whole
of
separate panel. Like that's a great topic.
it makes me think of that song by The Police, Every Breath You Take, that, did really, really well back in the day. And kids now are like, isn't he kind of stalking her though? And you listen to it now and you're like, oh, he kind of is.
Very much so.
Exactly.
Barbara, what's your favorite part to write?
I absolutely love writing action scenes, whether they have multiple players or just two people, doing in a fight or in a car chase, something like that. I think it's because I generally write characters who have a hard time pondering. So that's like, working out my own stuff, it's like we all have to do it. But this I know how to do because there's no time for pondering when a fist is coming at your face. So I think those have always been my favorite. And then my favorite characters too almost always have a thought of like, oh, at last, something I know how to do. Even though I myself am a huge marshmallow and I do not want to fight anybody.
I love a
Um,
disclaimer. I
yeah.
don't do these things.
No, don't
Not
throw a
me.
punch at me unless you want to make other lesbians angry. Because I always thought that'd be funny to see somebody try to hit somebody at a lesfic convention and to watch all of them pile on. Um, uh, so that yeah, my favorite scenes to write definitely any sort of actiony scene.
What have you, Chelsey? Like, what's your favorite part?
I mean, there is something about writing the bad behavior that's kind of fun because it gets you to explore something that obviously you wouldn't do in real life, or at least I wouldn't. That was a little bit fun, but I think for me it's the redemption. I like to get to the happy ending. I'm like Georgia, love a grand gesture. Um, Still waiting for mine, but in the meantime, I'll write them. And especially like this most recent one was a slow burn, and so by the end, I'm like, I wanted to take my characters like my Barbie dolls when I was a kid and like kiss now, please, please. So getting to that point, I just to see the growth that has happened, to see that how the red flags have evolved and they're no longer red flags, and to see them overcome that is very, very rewarding.
Absolutely. And Catherine, how about you? Like, what's your favorite part?
I really love writing messy. I love it in a situation. I love it in dialogue. I love it everywhere. I mean, there's so many ways for things to go wrong that it's unending. And if you do it right, then it really sets up the redemption later on. So it's sort of, like it's a setup and then a payoff. But yeah, I love characters saying wrong things. I love them doing wrong things. I love people being awkward. Yeah, I really like the messy.
Messy is good.
Embracing the human condition here in all of
Oh,
its forms, flaws, mess. I love it.
that's a very nice way to say it.
So we're pretty much almost to the end of our panel. So I just wanted to go around and ask what's coming up for everyone next? Like, where can we find you on social media or like on your websites again? Or what's your book coming up? Like, what's the next thing for you? Chelsey, how about you start?
So I'm on social media at Chelsey Lynford at all the things, Threads, Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, primarily more active on Threads and Instagram. Website's chelseylynford.com. Um, just make sure it's Chelsey with a Y because I don't know who else Chelsey with an A Linford is. Um, I am finishing up my third manuscript. It is a second chance sports romance, so any sports gays out there, or particularly WNBA fans, this one's for you. I'm a huge sports fan myself, so I'm very, very excited for that. And it should come
Amazing.
out early next year.
Sounds great. Claire, where can we find you and what's coming up next?
So my debut just came out 4 days ago. Here we go.
Oh,
Shot
yay.
Through the Heart.
4 days ago. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
April 14th. And then I do have a holiday, don't ask me why, rom-com coming in August, which is kind of like a comedy of errors, which I yeah, I hope it's funny because I don't know if my Russian humor comes through on that one, but it's coming in August 14th, I guess. And I'm on Instagram and Threads and Facebook. I used to be on social media just lurking and like stalking people. I was like Sting, I'll be watching you. But I was always just encouraging everybody because I knew a lot of writers and authors and writing friends. And when I went to the academy, I became a little bit more active. So now I just post on Instagram. They have a really, really beautiful feature. I found out that if you do that, it's automatically puts it on Threads and Facebook. So I don't have to retype everything 3 times. Boom, done. So that's it. So Instagram. And I have a website, which is, I maintain. So it's not really like anything glamorous. It's just clairedonniere.com.
Amazing. I love all the tips and tricks here. This is great. Catherine, where can we find you and what's coming up next?
I am also in all the usual places, Instagram and Threads and Facebook. What's coming up next? That's a really good question. I am not 100% sure. I think I'm going to take some time and write some free stories that Bold Stroke said that they would, just support and make available for everybody. And we'll see where it takes me.
Sounds great. There's nothing wrong with letting the creativity just flow like that. It's amazing.
From your lips, from your lips.
Barbara, where can we find you and what's up next?
Well, summer is convention season in the sci-fi fantasy world. So the weekend of May 22nd, I'm going to be at Houston Comic Palooza, which is always a fun time. And I'm also doing some signings around Austin and Houston then. And then the following weekend, I'm going to be at Denver Fan Expo, which is a giant, huge 4-day convention.
Amazing. People check out Barbara at those venues. That sounds great. And Georgia, finally, how about you? Like, where can we find you and what's up next?
Well, check Barbara out early because she sells out at those things every single time. So get her early if you go. I'm everywhere. You cannot get away from me. I'm so sorry about that. I'm everywhere but X because I gave that up. I'm even on TikTok. God help me. I try. I'm not very good at it, but I keep getting people following me. So I don't know what that's about, but I'm doing my best. I promise. I have The Girl Next Door that just came out on Tuesday. So check that out. It seems to be getting some decent reviews, so people seem to like it. So I'm kind of proud of that. I've got a book coming out in August and then one in December, and I'm working on one for next year. So busy, busy, busy over here. I also am working really hard on my Patreon page. It's a lot of pressure, but I'm trying to keep my my patrons happy over there. There's some short stories there. So if you want to search me and come take a peek, that would be awesome.
Well, that's amazing. And thank you all so much for your time today. This has been a wonderful panel. If you've liked what you've heard, please run over to the Bold Strokes Books web store. All of our ebooks are on sale, like that were published in the past year. So please check it out because there's a ton of great reads on there. Thanks again for your time. Take care.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.